Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Shane Gillis in a new commercial for Bud Light. That's a lot of fun. In the commercial, we see Shane Gillis in a dirty, graffiti-filled freeway underpass. He's sitting next to a model, and there's a guitar player, and it's all kind of cool. Gillis then realizes he's in the wrong commercial. Let's listen to part of it.
We are all lost.
Yeah, I'm lost. I'm 100% lost here.
But we are on the edge.
Hey, all right. This is pocket full of sand. That's good. Yeah. Hey, I think I'm in the wrong commercial.
What?
Yeah, dude, this isn't right.
Wait, aren't you Andre?
No, I'm Shane. My name's Shane.
Huh. Oh, I see what's going on. You're supposed to be in a Bud Light commercial.
Oh, I'm supposed to be in a Bud Light commercial, not here. So that's why I'm the odd one out down here.
Well, if you're here, Andre is...
We then cut to the model type guy who's supposed to be in the first commercial, and he's in the commercial Shane should be in, where it looks like they're basically at a B-dubs having some wings and having some beer. It's a lot of fun. Ton Allen is the senior vice president of marketing for Bud Light and says, as a passionate college football fan himself, Shane Gillis was the perfect partner to connect our college football audience with his distinct style of humor, and it doesn't hurt that he loves a Bud Light or two on game day. I shared in the Facebook group the lengthy article with Anthony Jeselnik. The Facebook group is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. Feel encouraged to join us there. Cracked was curious. Hey, Anthony, after 20 years of touring, are there people who come to the shows who don't understand what you're doing? Anthony said, occasionally, yes, but at this point, Lorne Michaels once told me, he was talking about Conan and his success, the longer you're there, the longer you're there. So just by doing it for 20 years, everyone knows now. That's a great line by Lorne Michaels. It's very few people who think I'm a monster, and if you are, you've been living under a rock. My comedy's more accepted than it's ever been, just through the virtue of being around long enough for people to understand what's happening. Good follow-up by Crack. They were curious if that changes the level of difficulty, because people go in expecting an edge, and you got to keep upping and upping it. Jeselnik said, it's certainly a challenge, but in every challenge, there's an opportunity. It's, where do they think I'm going? You've seen the special. The bit about gallows humor only works if you've seen Thoughts and Prayers, and you think you know where I'm going with that. There are opportunities in this long career I've had, and all the negatives, those are champagne problems. There's a lot of comics who make it 5 years and never have to deal with this. I'm not going to complain, but it's certainly in my mind when I'm writing new material. How do I still surprise them? The audience tells me what works and what doesn't. There are plenty of jokes where I'm like, this is obvious. And I asked a friend, is this obvious? And they're like, no, only to you would this be obvious. So it's really a conversation with the audience because something that's obvious to me is not to them and vice versa, where I think this joke is brilliant and they're like, no, we saw that coming a mile away. To keep going darker and darker, that would be serving one segment of my fan base who was always going to complain that the first album was the best, was the most shocking. I'm not going to be a slave to my audience ever. I will not do that. The only way to get through it instead of going darker is to become more clever and to become a little bit more flexible. Things that you think are going to go dark, they end up being silly, and I think that's where my future lies, in the silliness, and trying to come up with a longer format narrative in order to hide the punchlines. Just going dark, I'm too old for that crap. I loved it at the time, but people rank my specials much differently than I do. A lot of the OG fans love the original. I love the more subtle, I still got you there kind of thing. You'll often hear me soapbox about watching a particular comedian and being frustrated that I don't believe any of the stories. That said, I'm a free thinker, and I can understand that Jeselnik is doing a character. Larry the Cable Guy is doing a character. Jeselnik talks about the character and says the character is so fully formed, and you're in good hands, where if it's a lie throughout the hour. I'm not pulling the rug out for you, being like, you're an idiot for believing that. I never want to be told what to do by anyone, even if it's Chris Rock. He's like, hey, I've got a bit for you. I'm like, get out of my face. I want to think of it myself. That's the fun part. Recently, I admitted to you that I was wrong. I know, we were all shocked. It was absolutely shocking that I was wrong about something, because it almost never happens. I was wrong about Have I Got News for You being canceled after 9 weeks. If in case you missed it, CNN is bringing it back for season 2. Michael Ian Black shared on his Substack that he doesn't watch the show. Black said, for the record, I do not watch the program and probably never will. I tried once when it first came on, but I found I had to turn the channel within moments of seeing my own stupid grinning mug. Many times I leave the taping thinking everybody else was great and I was fine. This has been a perennial issue. I very much want to be a smart comic who says smart and funny things, and sometimes I am, but most of the time I just feel like a fraud. Sam Bee shared why she canceled kind of late on the Have I Got News for You folks. This from Late Nighter. Sam told the story on her podcast, the Daily Beast podcast. Sam said, I pulled myself out of it, which I do apologize to the whole team for leaving them in a bit of a spot. I just didn't feel like it was the right time for me to be on the show. Like, for context, I really like the show. I think it's actually really good. I like and admire everybody who's on it. But my personal boundary is that I really can't go on like a fun-loving comedy quiz show with someone who just stands so opposite to every value that I hold dear. The episode in question was the November 16th installment of the show. The guest that she had a problem with was Tennessee Republican Congressman Tim Burchett. I'm personally not familiar with Tim, but Late Nighter says Bee cited issues with Burchett's stances on mass deportation, guns, and opposition to transgender rights, as well as desire to dismantle the Department of Education and defund Planned Parenthood. Sam said, I just think these questions and these issues that we're facing are literally existential, and I don't have a good sense of humor about it. I just wasn't willing to sit on a comedy show with a grim facial expression thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? What is this? Like, why am I here? The next thing I'm going to be wrong about, and that'll be twice in 1 year, which would be amazing, is that Jason Kelce's late night show on ESPN is going to be a disaster. Now, it's only going to run for 5 weeks, so they'll guest him up into the Super Bowl, but I don't know about a 1 a.m. Jason Kelce TV show. I'm sure it'll do great with viral clips, but is anyone going to actually watch it? Who knows? I'm willing to be wrong here. Kelce is working on it. He showed up at the UCB Theater in L.A. and was on the Ass Cat show. Late Nighter tells us Kelce took the stage beer in hand, and he was tasked with delivering a series of autobiographical stories intended to inspire scenes from the improvisers on stage. They call it Late Night with Jason Kelce, 5 weeks starting Friday, January 3rd, 2025. The show will be shot in front of a live audience in Philadelphia. Last week, Jason Kelce told Jimmy Kimmel on the ABC-owned show and said, I love late night shows. I've always loved them. I remember at sleepovers watching Conan O'Brien with my friends. The show's even going to have a live house band, the Philadelphia-based 7-piece brass ensemble Snack Time. The show's primary focus will be on sports personalities. Jason says, we're going to have a bunch of guys up there, legends of the game, friends that I play the game with, coaches, and celebrities. If you would like to see Jason's appearance, UCB does a live stream of the recorded shows. It'll cost you $10, and it'll be up there until Sunday. Speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, boy, Google's got a lot of money, so much money that they're going to mind trick Johnny Mac into playing a commercial here. A big campaign sees Jimmy Kimmel hosting a Google Shopping branded game show called Can You Gift It? Some of the other folks in this show, Ronnie Chang, Atsuko Akatsuka, Roy Wood Jr., Robin Thede, Matt Rogers, Joel Kim Booster. Somebody's got a lot of budget. This campaign runs through December 5th. Let's listen.
Welcome to Can You Gift It? The Google Shopping game show where the deals are endless and everyone wins.
I am shopping for my biggest hater, my grandma.
I'm shopping for the fam.
I'd like to shop for you. Am I allowed to do that?
Yes, you are. The goal is to score as many deals as possible to mark them off your gift list.
Turntable.
Cowboy boots! Whoa!
I'm trying to play like 4D chess with Google right now.
I'm going with Fluffy.
That is very, very wrong. Who is the better gifter?
It looks like Dana Carvey is going to continue to be on SNL. I don't understand it. You have a cast. Let the cast do things. Dana's great. Dana had his time. I don't understand this thing where now we're coming back to the show. Dana on his podcast said, we leave the good nights at SNL. Sometimes you do it with the host. You go under the bleachers and you come out. So I think it was John Mulaney. He went out right before me, and I think he was going, and then he started skipping. And I started skipping too, and skipping feels really good compared to walking or even running. It's kind of gentle. So now if you ever see me on SNL, and I'm going back in December, if you see me come off the stage, just remember within seconds, I will be skipping for quite a while. That's kind of inside baseball. I mentioned earlier in the week, I feel like comedy is moving towards edginess. Looks like Hulu's going to grab the Sebastian Gaffigan corner, and Netflix is getting edgier. They just announced that Ari Shaffir deal. Andrew Schultz is taping his special for Netflix tonight and tomorrow at the Beacon Theater. Blonde Medicine has a comedy album out tonight, so I already support your nomination for Best Comedy Album for the Grammy, because Best Comedy Album should go to albums, not Netflix specials. This one, from Aaron Judge and Jenny Chalakian. It's called Romantic Comedy Live at the Ripped Bodice. Aaron and Jenny have been hosting a monthly comedy showcase at a romance bookstore since 2016. For this stand-up album, Aaron and Jenny open up the show together and then each perform long sets of their own material. The result is a delightful and hilarious glimpse into what these two dynamic co-hosts experience in their day-to-day lives as queer women in LA. And if you missed yesterday's show, I was poking away at the Vulture Comedians You Should and Will Know. Emil Wakim, he had so much good material that I split it in half, so I did half of it yesterday. He was asked the biggest financial hurdle he's encountered since becoming a comedian and said, did you guys know you have to pay your taxes? That really blindsided me. I couldn't believe we were really doing that. I was like, well, clearly no one's going to check up on the little guys. And then I got audited the first year I filed taxes as a comedian. The IRS sent me a letter. And they were like, hey, you owe us like way more money. I called my dad and started ranting about how Bernie should have been the nominee and something about Jeff Bezos or something. It's so annoying. You can't use that as a reason. Like in court for tax evasion, I feel like I should be like, yeah, but Your Honor, capitalism, America. And then the jury would stand up and applaud me. But I do pay all my taxes on time now, I think. What comedy opinion hill will you die on? I love this one. He goes, I mean, obviously crowd work should be wiped off the face of the planet. But I feel like it's hack at this point to say that, almost as hack as asking somebody what they do for a living. In all seriousness, short-form content is melting my brain, and I think it should be outlawed, unless my clips start doing good. Then it's awesome, and it's the future. I have to admit, though, that I'm bad at crowd work, which is probably part of the reason why I and so many comics crap on it, because it is a skill. It's just a skill that's ruining the world and may even lead to the downfall of civilization. And that's your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it, too. If you would like this without commercial interruption, there's a link in the show notes. It'll tell you how that works. I'm going to continue with my mission to pre-tape the entire weekend. Let's see if my voice holds up. You'll find out tomorrow. See you then.